Hey guys, tonight we're going to step into a world where every gesture is a whisper. Every object tells a story, and even silence has its own profound rhythm. Imagine, if you will, a tranquil garden, ducust stones leading to a humble dwelling, the scent of damp earth and blooming camellias filling the cool pre-dawn air. You hear the gentle rustle of bamboo, the distant murmur of a stream, and feel a sense of calm beginning to settle over you, a calm so deep it almost feels otherworldly. We're delving into the serene, intricate, and frankly, a little terrifying world of Japanese tea ceremony etiquette. Terrifying, you ask? Oh yes, because one wrong move, one misplaced slipper, and you might just find yourself politely, but very firmly, outside looking in. You probably won't survive this if you're expecting a casual coffee shop vibe, because this, my friends, is an art form honed over centuries, a dance of precision and presence. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If you're listening, drop your location and local time in the comments. I always love to see where you're tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your journey into the way of tea, or chado, begins long before you even see the tea house. It starts with the approach, often down a winding path called a roji, or dewy path. This isn't just a garden stroll, it's a symbolic transition, a gradual shedding of the mundane world. Think of it as a mental palate cleanser before the main course of tranquility. You trudge along your modern-day worries, that email you forgot to send, whether you left the stove on, if your cat is currently redecorating the couch with its claws'll start to dissipate with each careful step on the moss-covered stones. This path is intentionally designed to be irregular, forcing you to slow your pace, to pay attention to your footing, to be present. You're not sprinting to catch a train here. You're engaging in a meditative walk. Historically, this roji was much more than just a pretty path. It was a physical and spiritual cleansing, preparing both host and guest for the purity of the tea ceremony. Imagine a samurai, fresh from battle, or the bustling streets of Kyoto, leaving his sword at the gate, washing away the dust and anxieties of his daily life as he traversed this path. He's not just taking off his shoes, he's shedding his entire identity, stepping into a space where everyone, regardless of social standing, is equal in the pursuit of beauty and harmony. Historians still argue whether the irregular stone placement was purely aesthetic or had a practical purpose, perhaps to discourage galloping horses or simply to force a mindful pace. Some scholars even suggest it was a subtle nod to Zen Buddhist teachings, where imperfection and asymmetry are celebrated. As you navigate this path, you'll notice the meticulous arrangement of stones, lanterns, and sparse vegetation. Every element is deliberately placed, not for show, but to evoke a sense of natural beauty and understated elegance. It's wabi-sabi in action, that Japanese aesthetic, emphasizing imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. You won't find perfectly manicured hedges or flashy flower beds here. Instead, you'll see weathered stone, perhaps a single camellia blooming quietly, or the gentle curve of a bamboo stalk. It's about finding beauty in the subtle, the humble, the unadorned. It's like finding that perfectly aged, slightly worn denim jacket that just feels right, rather than something brand new and stiff. you get it, and then you reach the gate. Not a grand, imposing entrance, but often a simple, rustic gate, perhaps made of bamboo or unfinished wood. This is the official threshold, the point of no return for your worldly distractions. You might pause here, taking a moment to breathe, to truly arrive. It's a signal to your mind. Okay, buddy, time to put on your best behavior hat, because we're about to enter a realm of profound respect and quiet intention. This gate, often called the chumen, serves as a symbolic break between the outer world, Soto, and the inner sanctuary, Uchi. It's a physical manifestation of the mental shift required. You are, quite literally, leaving your baggage, both physical and metaphorical, behind. No checking your phone for notifications here. The only notifications you'll be getting are the subtle cues from your host. Having traversed the roji and passed through the chumen, you now encounter the sukubai. This is not merely a decorative garden feature. It's a low stone basin, often filled with crystal clear water, and it's where you perform the ritual purification. You approach it, bending low, perhaps feeling a slight stiffness in your back from the unaccustomed crouch. The sukubai is deliberately set at a low height, forcing you to humble yourself, to literally bow before you purify. This act of bending is symbolic, a physical manifestation of humility, acknowledging that in the tea room, all are equal, shedding their pride along with the dust of the outside world. It's like when you have to squeeze into one of those tiny economy airplane seats, except here, the discomfort serves a higher spiritual purpose. Rather than just maximizing airline profit, you'll see a small wooden ladle, a hishaku, resting beside the basin. With deliberate slowness, you pick up the hishaku and fill it with water. First, you pour a small amount over your left hand, letting the water cleanse it, washing away any lingering impurities. Then, you repeat the action for your right hand. Think of it as hitting the reset button on your physical self, preparing for a state of heightened awareness. Next, you cup your left hand and pour water into it from the hishaku, rinsing your mouth. This isn't a gargle. It's a gentle, almost imperceptible rinse, symbolizing the purification of your words, ensuring that only pure intentions and respectful utterances will emerge from your lips within the sacred space. Finally, you tip the remaining water in the ladle over the handle, cleansing it for the next guest. This is a subtle act of consideration, an unspoken gesture of respect for those who follow. This entire sequence is performed with quiet dignity, no splashing, no hurried movements. It's a dance of mindful intention. This ritual purification, known as chozu, is deeply rooted in Zen Buddhist practices, which heavily influenced the development of the tea ceremony. Just as monks would purify themselves before entering the temple, tea ceremony participants cleanse themselves before entering the chashitsu, the tea room. It's a physical act that prompts a mental shift, washing away not just dirt, but also worldly thoughts and attachments. Historically, this practice was particularly significant for samurai, who, after engaging in warfare, would undergo elaborate purification rituals. The tea ceremony offered a refined, peaceful alternative to these more intense purifications, a way to cleanse the spirit through aesthetic experience. Some historians still argue whether the sukubai evolved from practical hygiene or purely symbolic religious practices, but its function in bridging the two is undeniable. The water itself is crucial. it must be fresh, clear, and cold. In ancient times, this water would often be drawn from a natural spring, reflecting the purity and connection to nature that is central to Chado. You might even feel a slight chill as the water touches your skin, a refreshing jolt that further brings you into the present moment. This isn't just tap water, my friend. This is the essence of purification, a liquid mirror reflecting your readiness to engage with the profound. It's a reminder that even the simplest elements, when approached with intention, can hold deep significance. It's a little like how a perfectly brewed cup of coffee isn't just hot brown liquid. It's an experience, if you let it be. After the purification, you'll typically find a small stone lantern nearby. This isn't just for illumination, though it serves that purpose, especially during evening ceremonies. It also symbolizes enlightenment, casting a soft, gentle light that guides your path inward. In the subdued light of the early morning or twilight, the lantern creates a subtle glow, enhancing the sense of quiet anticipation. It's not a spotlight, more like a friendly glow stick saying, "This way, tranquility awaits." The entire roji, with its sukubai and lantern, is a carefully curated landscape designed to ease you from the chaotic exterior world into the harmonious interior world of the tea ceremony, setting the stage for the deep meditative experience to come. Every stone, every drop of water, every flicker of light contributes to this seamless transition, preparing your mind and spirit for the purity and focus required within the chashitsu. With hands and mouth ritually cleansed, you now approach the entrance to the tea room itself. This isn't your average door. It's a small, deliberately low opening called a nijiriguchi. You're not just walking in, you're essentially crawling through it, bending almost double to pass into the sacred space. This humble entrance is another powerful symbol, reinforcing the idea that all who enter, regardless of their social standing outside, must shed their pride and status. A mighty samurai, even with his imposing armor and elevated rank, would have to stoop just as low as a common merchant. It's the ultimate equalizer, a physical manifestation of humility, ensuring that inside the chashitsu, only the pure spirit matters. You might even find yourself chuckling internally at the absurdity of it all. Imagine trying to get your grumpy uncle, who refuses to bend for anything, through this tiny door. It's a comedic moment, if you allow yourself to see it. This small entrance also serves a practical purpose. It was historically designed to prevent anyone from entering with a long sword, further emphasizing the peaceful, weapon-free nature of the tea gathering. No duels over lukewarm matcha here, folks. The tea room is a sanctuary of peace, where conflict is left at the threshold, along with your pride and your expensive accessories. Historians still argue whether the nijiriguchi was primarily a spiritual symbol or a pragmatic security measure, but its dual function undoubtedly contributes to the unique atmosphere of the tea ceremony. It's a quirky tidbit, perhaps, but it highlights the blend of spiritual intent and practical design that defines Chado. Once you've navigated the nijiriguchi and straightened up, you find yourself in the serene simplicity of the tea room. The immediate impression is one of minimalist beauty. The walls are often made of plain clay or paper. The flooring typically consists of tatami mats, and there's a distinct lack of excessive ornamentation. Every element present is there for a reason, contributing to the overall harmony and quiet aesthetic. You'll notice the distinct, subtle scent of the tatami, a mix of dried straw and history that immediately calms your senses. It's a stark contrast to the sensory overload of the outside world, like stepping from a bustling city street into a perfectly quiet, soundproof room. Your ears might even feel a slight pop as the external noise fades away. Your attention is naturally drawn to the tokonoma, the alcove. This is the heart of the chashitsu's aesthetic presentation. Here, you'll typically find a hanging scroll, a kakamahono, often featuring calligraphy, or a simple painting, and perhaps a single, carefully arranged flower, an ikebana. The choice of scroll and flower is deliberate, reflecting the season, the theme of the gathering, or even a subtle message from the host. It's not a cluttered display. It's a singular focus, inviting quiet contemplation. You might find yourself mesmerized by the brushstrokes on the scroll or the delicate curve of a single camellia petal. It's not just decoration. It's a living piece of art, ephemeral and unique to that moment. When entering, you step onto the tatami mats, typically removing your slippers at the nijiraguchi if you were wearing any. The tatami itself has its own etiquette. You walk on the seams between the mats as little as possible, as stepping directly on the seams is considered bad form, perhaps due to the belief that it might damage the integrity of the mat, or simply because it creates an uneven surface. It's a subtle detail, but one that demonstrates your mindfulness and respect for the space. You move with quiet grace, your movements fluid and intentional, trying not to make any unnecessary noise. It's a good time to remember to turn off your phone's ringer. A sudden notification would be as jarring as a fire alarm in a library. As you step in, you're guided by the host, or perhaps by the subtle cues of the space itself, to your designated seating position. Guests sit in a specific order, typically kneeling in Seiza style, a formal sitting position where you kneel with your buttocks resting on your heels. Now, for many Westerners, this position can be an absolute torture device. Your knees will ache, your ankles will protest, and your feet will likely fall asleep. But you endure, because part of the tea ceremony is about cultivating mental fortitude and transcending physical discomfort. If you're lucky, the ceremony might not last too long, or perhaps you'll be offered a small cushion, a zabuton, to ease the strain. Historically, this posture was common in daily life, but for modern participants, it can be a true test of endurance, a subtle reminder that elegance often comes with a side of mild suffering. Now settled in your seiza, or attempting to, with varying degrees of silent anguish, the greeting phase begins. Entered after you will offer a series of bows. These aren't casual nods. Each one is precise, reflecting a different level of respect and intention. You reciprocate these bows, mirroring their depth and timing. It's a silent conversation, a dance of mutual acknowledgement and humility. Imagine trying to explain this to someone who thinks a quick head bob is sufficient for hello. It's a whole new world of nonverbal communication, where every angle of your spine carries meaning. The first bow you'll likely encounter is a deep bow, sometimes called seikure, signifying the highest level of respect. You lower your head until your forehead almost touches the tatami mat, your hands placed flat on the mat in front of you, fingers lightly touching. This isn't just a physical act. It's a moment of profound reverence, acknowledging the host, the space, and the spiritual essence of the gathering. It's like hitting the super deep respect button on your internal console. Then, there are medium bows, futsure, and lighter bows, shokare, used for various interactions throughout the ceremony. The key is to be present, to observe your host, and to respond in kind, without drawing attention to yourself. During these initial greetings, there might be a brief exchange of formal pleasantries, quiet atmosphere. Questions might be asked about your health or the journey to the tea house, but always in a soft, subdued tone. This isn't the place for boisterous chatter or catching up on the latest gossip. The focus is on the moment, on the shared experience of beauty and tranquility. It's a bit like being at a classical music concerto. Appreciate the performance in quiet reverence, not by shouting across the aisle to your friend. One mainstream historical fact about these greetings is that the structured bowing system, particularly in the tea ceremony, evolved alongside the formalization of Japanese etiquette during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868. As samurai culture became more refined and focused on peaceful arts, the precise articulation of respect through bowing became increasingly important, reflecting the intricate social hierarchy and the emphasis on harmony. Even today, in various aspects of Japanese life, from business meetings to everyday encounters, the depth and duration of a bow convey layers of meaning. A quirky or fringe tidbit in some very traditional or historical tea lineages. It was considered impolite for the host to directly look into the guest's eyes during the deepest bows. Instead, their gaze would be directed towards the tatami, a further demonstration of humility and a way to avoid any perceived challenge or directness that might disrupt the serene atmosphere. It's a subtle nuance, but one that highlights the almost obsessive attention to detail in these rituals. Historians still argue whether this eye avoidance was a matter of strict etiquette or simply an outcome of the deep bow itself. As the greetings conclude, a sense of shared purpose settles over the room. You become acutely aware of the quiet sounds, the gentle rustle of the host's kimono, the soft scraping of a chowan tea bowl against the tatami as it's adjusted, of the experience. You are no longer just an individual. You are a participant in a communal act, a shared pursuit of ichigo-ichi, one time, one meeting. The philosophy that each tea gathering is a unique, unrepeatable moment to be cherished. This isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the performance, and you're part of the cast. The host's movements are fluid, almost choreographic. There's no wasted motion, no hesitation. Every step, every pivot, every placement of the hands is performed with deliberate grace. You watch, absorb, and learn, not just through explicit instruction, but through silent observation. This early stage of the ceremony, the greeting, sets the tone for everything that follows. It establishes the mutual respect, the quiet understanding, and the shared intention that permeates the entire Chato experience. You're not just waiting for tea. You're entering a state of focused mindfulness, prepared to appreciate every subtle detail that the host has meticulously prepared for this singular, precious moment. As the initial greetings settle into a quiet hum of shared presence, your attention naturally shifts to the tools of the ceremony. These aren't merely implements. They are revered objects, often handmade, passed down through generations, each with its own story and spirit. It's a careful choreography, each placement precise, each movement intentional. You'll feel a magnetic pull towards these items, even before the tea itself is prepared. It's like watching a master chef lay out their bespoke knives, knowing that each one is not just sharp, but an extension of their craft. The central piece, of course, is the chawan, the tea bowl. These bowls are often exquisite, handmade ceramics. Each unique, you'll notice they aren't perfectly symmetrical. Their imperfections are celebrated as part of their beauty, embracing the wabi-sabi aesthetic we touched on earlier. Some are rough and earthy, others smooth and refined, but all possess a quiet dignity. The choice of chawan often depends on the season, a shallow, wide bowl for summer to help the tea cool faster, and a deeper, more enclosed one for winter to retain warmth. It's a subtle nod to nature's cycles, interwoven into the very fabric of the ceremony. You might internally marvel at how such a simple object can hold so much artistry and consideration. Next, you'll see the chasen, the bamboo whisk. This delicate tool, carved from a single piece of bamboo, is essential for frothing the matcha. Its many fine tines are incredibly fragile, yet crucial for creating that perfect, creamy texture. The host handles it with utmost care, almost reverence. Imagine trying to explain to your caffeine-addicted friend that this isn't just a whisk, it's a finely tuned instrument for achieving peak matcha perfection. A mainstream historical fact is that the chasen evolved significantly during the Edo period as the popularity of whisked green tea grew. Early whisks were much simpler, but as the ceremony became more refined, so did its tools, reflecting a pursuit of aesthetic and functional perfection. Then there's the chashaku. Like the chasen, it's a simple, elegant tool, often with a slight curve, and typically handmade. Each chashaku might have a poetic name given to it by its maker or owner. Crafted, it's not just a spoon, it's a piece of quiet poetry, a quirky tidbit. Some very old and revered chashaku are so delicate and precious that they are rarely used, kept instead as revered art objects, brought out only for display on special occasions. Historians still argue whether the naming of chashaku was purely artistic or held deeper spiritual significance for their owners. The nagabukuro, or shifuku pouch for the tea caddy, and the fukusa silk cloth are also vital. The shifuku is a beautiful silk bag, often brocaded, that holds the chai or tea caddy during the ceremony. The act of carefully removing the chai from its shifuku is a ritual in itself, performed with precision and grace. The fukusa is a square silk cloth, often purple or orange, used by the host to ritually purify the chashaku and chai. This purification isn't about physical dirt. It's a symbolic act, wiping away any lingering impurities or distractions, preparing the tools for their sacred use. The way the fukusa is folded and unfolded, handled with precise, almost dance-like movements, is mesmerizing to watch. It's like a magician preparing their props, except here, the magic is in the mindfulness. Each tool is handled with deliberate care, almost as if it were alive. The host's hands move with a practiced elegance, a result of years of dedicated practice. There's no clinking, no fumbling. The sounds are soft, almost imperceptible. The gentle whisper of silk, the faint click of ceramic against wood. This meticulous handling isn't just for show. It's an extension of the respect for the objects themselves, and by extension, for the guests and the spirit of the ceremony. You realize that in this space, even the most mundane object is elevated to an art form, imbued with intention and history. It's a powerful lesson in finding beauty and meaning in the seemingly ordinary, transforming simple items into vessels of profound experience. With the tools meticulously arranged, the focal point of the ceremony shifts to the preparation of the matcha itself. This isn't just mixing powder and water. It's a precise, almost meditative dance, an art form known as teme. The host's movements become even more fluid, more concentrated, as they embark on this core act. You find yourself leaning forward ever so slightly, captivated by the silent efficiency, the almost hypnotic rhythm of their actions. It's like watching a master calligrapher at work, where every stroke is deliberate, imbued with intention. The first step involves placing the matcha powder into the pre-warmed chowan. The host uses the chashaku, that delicate bamboo scoop, to transfer 1 or 2 scoops of the vibrant green powder from the chayar into the bowl. The amount is precise, not measured by a scale, but by an experienced eye, ensuring the perfect balance of flavor and consistency. Imagine trying to get your morning coffee measurements this exact without a machine. It requires a true dedication to the craft. A mainstream historical fact is that matcha, as a powdered tea, gained prominence in Japan largely due to the influence of Zen Buddhism during the Kamakura period 1185-1333. Monks found its stimulating yet calming effects conducive to meditation, and the ritualized preparation evolved from these spiritual practices. Next comes the water. This isn't just any water, it's boiled water, often carefully poured from a beautiful cast iron kettle, a kama, which sits over a brazier, a furrow, or in a sunken hearth, a row. The water is allowed to cool slightly to the ideal temperature, typically around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Celsius, to bring out the best flavor from the matcha without scorching it. The host uses a bamboo ladle, a hishaku, to carefully scoop the hot water and pour it into the chowan over the matcha powder. The amount of water is just as crucial as the tea, influencing the thickness and creaminess of the final brew. Now for the chasen, the bamboo whisk. This is where the magic truly happens, transforming the humble powder and water into a frothy, emerald elixir. The host begins to whisk the matcha with a rapid, rhythmic motion, moving the chasen back and forth in a W or M shape, not in circular stirs. The wrist is flexible, allowing the tines of the whisk to agitate the mixture vigorously without scratching the bottom of the bowl. The goal is to create a smooth, vibrant green liquid with a delicate foam or chabana on top, free of any lumps. It's a surprisingly vigorous action, yet it's performed with such controlled grace that it appears effortless. You might even find yourself silently cheering them on, hoping for that perfect foam, a quirky or fringe tidbit. Traditionally, the sound of the whisking, particularly the gentle scraping of the chasen against the chowan and the rhythmic swoosh of the whisk through the liquid, is considered part of the aesthetic experience. This subtle sound, known as chachakuoto, contributes to the meditative atmosphere, reminding you of the present moment and the active creation of beauty. Historians still argue whether the specific W-shape whisking motion was primarily for aeration or to symbolize something deeper within Zen teachings. As the whisking reaches its climax, the host might briefly pause, allowing the froth to settle, then give a final, gentle swirl to refine the foam and remove any larger bubbles. The result is a bowl of matcha that is not only visually stunning but perfectly prepared for taste. The entire process of whisking is a testament to patience, precision, and dedication. It's not rushed. It's performed with complete focus, a direct manifestation of mindfulness. Every movement is a brushstroke in this living art. The air fills with the earthy, slightly sweet aroma of freshly whisked matcha. You feel a sense of anticipation, a quiet excitement building. This moment, the culmination of careful preparation and focused intention, is why you are here. It's a reminder that true craftsmanship isn't just about the end product, but the journey of creation itself. And as the host carefully places the finished chawan before the first guest, you know that the most intimate part of the ceremony is about to begin. The chawan, now a vibrant emerald green, is presented to the most honored guest, or if you are that guest, it is presented to you. This moment is imbued with significant etiquette, a silent ritual of acceptance and respect. The host, with a final, subtle adjustment, will place the bowl so that its most beautiful side, the front or shomen, faces you directly. This isn't just about aesthetics. It's a gesture of hospitality, inviting you to appreciate the artistry of the bowl as well as the tea within. You'll want to remember this orientation as it plays a role in the next steps. Before you even think about reaching for the bowl, there's a small, almost imperceptible bow exchanged between you and the host. It's a silent acknowledgement, a thank you for their effort and skill, and an acceptance of the gift they are offering. Then, with deliberate slowness, you reach out with both hands to receive the bowl. Your right hand supports the side of the chawan, while your left hand cups the bottom. This two-handed grip is a sign of respect, demonstrating that you value the bowl and its contents. You wouldn't snatch a priceless artifact with one hand, would you? This is no different. Now, remember that shomen, the beautiful front of the bowl. You don't drink from that side. Instead, you perform a subtle, yet crucial, rotation. Holding the bowl firmly, you gently rotate it 2 or 3 times clockwise. Some traditions specify counterclockwise, so observe your host if you're unsure, or just follow the general consensus of don't drink from the pretty part until the shomen is facing away from you towards the host. This act of rotating the bowl is a gesture of humility and respect, acknowledging the beauty of the bowl, but choosing not to mar its perfect face with your lips. It's a bit like being offered a perfectly wrapped gift and carefully admiring the wrapping before gently unwrapping it from the back. It's a small detail that speaks volumes about mindfulness, a mainstream historical fact. The concept of the front of the tea bowl and the ritualistic rotation became standardized during the development of wabi-cha, the tea of quiet taste, in the 16th century. Senrikya, arguably the most influential figure in Chada, codified many of these aesthetic and practical elements, emphasizing simplicity, humility, and the appreciation of natural beauty, all reflected in the handling of the tea bowl. As you hold the warm chawan in your hands, you might take a moment to admire its form, its texture, its weight. This isn't just a mug. It's a tactile experience, connecting you to the artisan who created it and the host who prepared the tea. You might even feel a subtle warmth radiating from the bowl, a comforting sensation that prepares you for the first sip. This pause before drinking is part of the mindfulness. It's not about quenching thirst. It's about engaging all your senses. A quirky or fringe tidbit is that historically, some tea masters would even consider the faint aroma of the tea bowl itself, particularly if it was a very old or unique piece, as part of the initial appreciation. They believed that the bowl held the essence of tea's past, contributing to the overall experience. Historians still argue whether this was a literal, olfactory experience or a poetic metaphor for the bowl's history and character. The weight of the bowl in your hands, the subtle warmth, the vibrant green of the frothy matcha contribute to the sensory experience. You are not just a recipient, you are an active participant, engaging with every element of the ceremony. The act of receiving the bowl, with its layers of unspoken etiquette, is an invitation into the heart of Chato, preparing you for the profound experience that a simple bowl of tea can offer when approached with intention and respect. You are literally holding a piece of carefully crafted art and history in your hands, so treat it as such. With the chawan now securely in your hands, the beautiful showman facing away from you, the moment of tasting arrives. This isn't a quick gulp like your morning coffee dash. It's a mindful act, a communion with the tea itself. You bring the bowl slowly towards your lips, inhaling the earthy, slightly sweet aroma of the matcha. This pre-sip sniff is part of the experience, engaging your sense of smell before taste. It's like appreciating the scent of a fine wine before taking that first careful sip. Your first sip is typically small, a tentative exploration of the flavor. You don't slurp loudly. Instead, you draw the tea gently into your mouth. The initial taste might surprise you. Matcha, especially koicha thick tea, can be intensely savory, almost umami, with a subtle sweetness and a pleasant bitterness that lingers on the palate. You hold the tea in your mouth for a moment, allowing the flavors to truly unfold, appreciating its warmth and texture. It's a complex sensory experience, far removed from the overly sweetened, milky lattes you might be accustomed to after this initial taste. You typically take 2 or 3 more sips to finish the tea. The exact number can vary, but the idea is to consume the tea gracefully, savoring each portion. As you take your final sip, it's customary to make a soft, audible slurp. Now, before you recoil in horror, yes, a slurp. This isn't a sign of bad manners. Quite the opposite. This gentle slurp, often called chakinomi, is a signal to the host that you have thoroughly enjoyed the tea, indicating your satisfaction and appreciation for their efforts. It's a bit like making an appreciative sound after a delicious meal. It's a very Japanese way of saying, nailed it, host. Absolutely delicious. A mainstream historical fact is that this ritual slurp became formalized in tea ceremony etiquette as a clear, audible way for guests to convey their enjoyment and gratitude to the host, especially in a quiet setting where verbal expressions might feel intrusive. As you finish the tea, you subtly wipe the rim of the bowl where your lips touched with your thumb and forefinger. This small, discreet action ensures the bowl remains pristine for the next guest. If it's a shared bowl, though in most modern ceremonies, each guest gets their own bowl after the thick tea. If it's your own bowl, it's still a gesture of cleanliness and respect for the vessel. This thoughtful act also signifies the conclusion of your personal enjoyment of the tea. A quirky or fringe tidbit is that in some very traditional, stringent tea schools, after wiping the rim, you might subtly turn the bowl in your hands, observing the pattern or glaze that your lips just touched, almost as if imprinting the moment onto the bowl itself. This isn't a required step for all, but it reflects the deep personal connection some practitioners feel with their tea bowls. Historians still argue whether this specific observation was a personal habit among masters or a more widespread, albeit subtle, ritual. The process of sipping and appreciating the tea is not about speed or quantity. It's about being fully present, experiencing each nuance of flavor, aroma, and texture. It's a moment of quiet contemplation, a connection between you, the tea, and the meticulous care taken by the host. The bitterness of the matcha, often balanced by the sweetness of the wagashi Japanese sweets that might be served later, is central to the experience. This bitterness is not unpleasant. Rather, it's stimulating, awakening your senses and focusing your mind as you place the empty chawan back onto the tatami mat. You do so gently, without a sound. Your movements remain fluid and deliberate, maintaining the serene atmosphere that has been so carefully cultivated. The focus then shifts from the act of drinking to the appreciation of the vessel itself, preparing for the next subtle layer of the tea ceremony experience. You've successfully navigated the perilous journey from receiving to consuming, proving you might, in fact, survive this whole ordeal. Having savored the matcha and performed that satisfying slurp, the journey with the chawan isn't quite over. Now comes the moment of quiet appreciation for the bowl itself. This isn't just a quick glance. It's a deliberate, almost meditative examination, a silent dialogue with the artistry and history held within the ceramic. You'll often hear a faint sigh of contentment from other guests, or perhaps from yourself as the tea's warmth lingers. After you've finished drinking, you place the chawan down on the tatami in front of you. Then you pick it up again, this time with both hands, and gently turn it to admire its shomen, the beautiful front that was facing the host when it was first presented to you. You hold it up slightly, bringing it closer to your eyes, but not so close that you obscure the view for others or block the light. You turn it slowly, observing its form, the texture of the glaze, any subtle imperfections that lend it character, the way the light catches its surface. It's like examining a piece of sculpture in a quiet gallery, allowing its details to reveal themselves. This act of admiration is called heiken. It's a moment to truly engage with the aesthetics of the tea bowl. You might notice the foot ring, the base on which the bowl rests, or the subtle variations in its glaze. Perhaps there's a small, deliberate crack, an imperfection known as kintsugi, where gold lacquer has been used to repair a break, highlighting its history rather than hiding it. This practice of kintsugi is a beautiful example of wabi-sabi, celebrating damage and repair as part of an object's unique story. Imagine taking your cracked phone screen and filling the cracks with gold. It's both practical and profoundly artistic. A mainstream historical fact is that the appreciation of tea bowls as individual works of art, rather than mere functional containers, blossomed during the Momoyama period, 1568 to 1600. Tea masters like Senrikya profoundly influenced this shift, encouraging the use of simple, often rustic, yet exquisitely crafted bowls. many from local kilns, elevating them to the status of revered art objects. Collectors would pay exorbitant prices for bowls that possessed a unique character, sometimes even more than a famous sword. As you admire the bowl, you might turn it over to inspect the potter's mark, if there is one, or simply the texture of the unglazed clay. This is done with the utmost care, ensuring no sudden movements or loud sounds. The silence in the room during this period of appreciation is profound, broken only by the soft rustle of kimono or the gentle shifting of weight on the tatami. It's a testament to the shared focus on beauty and mindfulness. You are not just looking at a bowl. You are looking at the history of ceramics, the touch of the artisan's hands, and the essence of the Chado philosophy. A quirky or fringe tidbit in some highly traditional and rare instances, particularly with exceptionally old or famous bowls. The host might briefly provide a small, brocaded silk cloth for guests to hold the bowl while examining it, to prevent oils from their hands from altering the surface. This is less common today, but it speaks to the extreme reverence given to certain chawan. Historians still argue whether this practice was primarily about preservation or a symbolic act elevating the bowl to an almost sacred status. After you have finished admiring the bowl, you carefully return it to its original position in front of you, with its showman once again facing away from you, and then rotate it back so the showman is again facing the host. This final rotation is another subtle gesture of respect, returning the bowl to its proper orientation, ready for the host to collect it. The act concludes your engagement with that particular chawan, preparing you for the next phase of the ceremony. You've had your moment with the ceramic star of the show, and now it's time for it to bow out gracefully, just as the subtle bitterness of the matcha settles on your palate. A new element is introduced, designed to perfectly complement and balance the tea, wagashi. These are traditional Japanese confections, often miniature works of art, prepared with meticulous care and exquisite detail. They're not just any sweets. They are integral to the tea ceremony, serving a crucial role in enhancing the flavor of the matcha and providing a moment of visual and gustatory delight. Imagine biting into a cloud that tastes faintly of cherry blossom and whispers sweet nothings to your taste buds. The timing of the wagashi is precise. They are typically served before the koicha, or thick tea, to prepare your palate for its intense flavor. The sweetness of the wagashi acts as a counterpoint, softening the perceived bitterness of the matcha and allowing its complex notes to shine through. It's a delicate dance of flavors, a gastronomic yin and yang. You won't find yourself reaching for a sugar packet here. The sweetness is provided with artistry and intention. The wagashi themselves are often a feast for the eyes. They are crafted from ingredients like rice, flour, sweet bean paste, anko, and natural colorings, shaped into intricate designs that reflect the season or a specific natural motif. You might see a delicate confection shaped like a cherry blossom in spring, a vibrant green leaf in summer, a maple leaf in autumn, or a camellia in winter. Each one is a tiny edible sculpture, reflecting the Japanese appreciation for ephemeral beauty and the changing seasons. A mainstream historical fact is that the art of wagashi developed alongside the tea ceremony, particularly during the Edo period, becoming increasingly sophisticated as tea culture permeated society. Daimyo, feudal lords, and wealthy merchants commissioned elaborate suites, pushing the boundaries of their artistic expression. When the wagashi are presented, they typically arrive on a beautiful small plate, often ceramic or lacquerware, accompanied by a kuromoji, a delicate wooden pick used for cutting and eating the sweet. You receive the plate with both hands, much like the tea bowl, acknowledging the care with which it has been presented. You don't just grab a piece. You respectfully take one wagashi at a time, using the kuromoji to cut it into smaller, manageable pieces if necessary. The point is to consume it gracefully, savoring each bite. It's a far cry from mindlessly munching on a candy bar, a quirky or fringe tidbit. Some very traditional tea masters would consider the precise angle at which you cut the wagashi with your kuromoji as a subtle reflection of your character and mindfulness. It's not about making a perfect geometrical cut, but about performing the action with intentionality and grace. Historians still argue whether this was a formal rule or more of an informal observation passed down through lineages. It really speaks to the level of detail some individuals would imbue in their practice. As you consume the wagashi, you pay attention to its texture, soft, chewy, melt in your mouth, and its flavor. It's a moment of gentle indulgence, a brief reprieve from the intense focus on the tea itself, yet still within the framework of mindfulness. The sweetness cleanses your palate, preparing it for the next, often more potent, serving of matcha. It's a perfectly orchestrated sensory experience, designed to enhance the overall harmony of the ceremony, the act of offering and receiving. Wagashi is another layer of communication between host and guest. It's a gesture of generosity and consideration from the host, and an act of gratitude and appreciation from the guest. Even the subtle way the kuromoji is placed back on the plate after use speaks volumes about your attention to detail and respect for the shared space. You're not just eating dessert. You're participating in a centuries-old tradition where every crumb and gesture carries meaning. With the sweet aftertaste of the wagashi lingering pleasantly, your palate is now perfectly primed for the next, often more profound, experience. The transition from koicha. If you thought the thick tea was a journey, buckle up, because the thin tea offers a different, yet equally significant, dimension to the ceremony. It's like moving from a deep, complex symphony to a lighter, more ethereal chamber piece. Both are beautiful, but they evoke different feelings. Koicha, the thick tea you've just experienced, is typically made with higher grade matcha and less water, resulting in a rich, almost syrupy consistency. It's a very formal and intense part of the ceremony, often shared from a single bowl among guests, though, as mentioned, modern ceremonies sometimes provide individual chowan for koicha as well. Its purpose is profound, fostering a deep sense of connection and shared experience among participants, almost like a communal ritual. A mainstream historical fact is that koicha is considered the more traditional and spiritual form of matcha consumption, dating back to the earliest days of Chado, when tea was valued for its medicinal properties and its ability to aid meditation. After the koicha, there's usually a brief interlude, allowing guests to relax slightly, perhaps stretch their legs if seiza has become truly unbearable, though this would be done subtly, of course. The host might briefly retire to prepare for the yusucha phase. This shift often involves changing the chowan to a different, perhaps more ornate or seasonal bowl. This indicates a subtle shift in atmosphere from the gravitas of koicha to the slightly more relaxed, though still formal, mood of usucha. Now comes usucha, the thin tea. This is prepared with more water and often a slightly less premium grade of matcha than koicha, resulting in a lighter, frothier consistency, much more akin to what most people recognize as whisked matcha. While koicha emphasizes depth and shared experience, usucha is about refreshment, individual enjoyment, and the aesthetic beauty of the frothy green tea. It's often prepared and served to each guest individually, emphasizing personal appreciation. You might feel a subtle sigh of relief as the host brings out a fresh, perhaps even more beautiful chawan just for you. The preparation of usucha follows a similar whisking technique to what you observed earlier, but the emphasis is on creating a perfect, delicate foam on top. The host's movements are still precise and graceful, but perhaps with a slightly lighter touch, reflecting the lighter nature of the tea. The sound of the whisk against the bowl might be a bit more pronounced, creating a pleasant, almost rhythmic whisper. It's a demonstration of the host's versatility and mastery of both forms of tea. A quirky or fringe tidbit is that some tea masters believe the perfect usucha foam should be as white and delicate as freshly fallen snow, with tiny bubbles, almost like the fine texture of deer antlers. This specific aesthetic detail is a point of pride and skill among practitioners. Historians still argue whether the emphasis on foam was purely aesthetic or had symbolic connections to purity and ephemeral beauty. When you receive your usucha, the etiquette for receiving, rotating, sipping, and admiring the bowl is largely the same as with koicha, though perhaps with a slightly less intense reverence, reflecting the more approachable nature of the thin tea. You'll find the usucha to be lighter on the palate, refreshing and invigorating. It provides a perfect conclusion to the tea-drinking portion of the ceremony, cleansing the palate and leaving you with a clean, pleasant finish. The transition from koicha to usucha is not merely a change in tea thickness, it's a carefully orchestrated progression through different emotional and aesthetic states within the ceremony. It allows for a deeper appreciation of the nuances of matcha and the host's skill, culminating in a refreshed and harmonious feeling. You've gone from the profound depths to a lighter, brighter reflection, a full journey within a single sitting. As the last vestiges of the usucha disappear, and you've completed your final appreciation of the chawan, the ceremony begins its graceful descent towards conclusion. This isn't an abrupt exit. It's a slow, deliberate winding down, a series of final ritualistic gestures that signify the host's deep respect for your presence and the shared experience. You won't hear a sudden, "All right, folks, time to hit the road." Instead, the quiet dignity of the space is maintained until the very end. The host will begin the meticulous process of cleaning and putting away the various tea utensils. Each object is carefully wiped, dried, and returned to its designated place with the same precision and grace with which it was presented. The chasen is gently rinsed and placed back in its holder. The chashaku is wiped clean, and the chayar tea caddy is returned to its shifuku. Every movement is economic and beautiful, a final performance of mindfulness and respect for the tools that facilitated such a profound experience. Quiet repose. It's a bit like watching a master painter carefully clean their brushes after creating a masterpiece. During this final cleaning, the host might briefly offer you the opportunity to inspect some of the other tea implements more closely, particularly if they are rare or historically significant. This is a special privilege, an extension of the host's generosity. You would approach the items with the same two-handed respect as you did the chowan, admiring their craftsmanship without touching them unnecessarily. This is typically done with minimal conversation, preserving the tranquil atmosphere. A mainstream historical fact is that the appreciation of tea ceremony utensils as standalone art objects became an important aspect of Chado during the Sengoku period 146–71615, when warlords and merchants alike competed to acquire famous tea bowls, caddies, and scoops, sometimes valuing them more than land or gold, as the last of the utensils are put away. Bo signifies the formal end of the gathering. It's a moment of mutual gratitude, the host thanking you for honoring their invitation and participating, and you thanking the host for their incredible hospitality and the profound experience they have provided. It's a silent, powerful acknowledgement of the bond that has been forged in this shared space of tranquility. Mirrors the entrance in its deliberate, humble nature. You carefully make your way back through the Nijiraguchi, again bending low, a physical reminder of the humility you embraced upon entering. This act reinforces the idea that you are leaving the sacred space as quietly and respectfully as you entered. You don't burst out, checking your phone and shouting about your incredible experience. Instead, you carry the quietude with you. As you step back onto the roji, the dewy path, you might pause for a moment. The garden, which seemed to prepare you for the ceremony on your way in, now serves as a gentle buffer, gradually reintroducing you to the outside world. The sounds of nature, which were barely perceptible on your way in, might now seem clearer, sharper, as if your senses have been heightened by the experience within. A quirky tidbit is that, traditionally, the guests would wait on the roji until the host, having fully cleaned the tea room, came to the chuman, the gate, and bowed one final time, seeing the guests off before they fully departed. This extended farewell, though less common in some modern interpretations, emphasizes the host's unwavering commitment to their guests' experience, right to the very last moment. Historians still argue whether this final bow was always a formal expectation or evolved as a sign of extreme deference. You walk slowly along the path, allowing the serenity of the tea ceremony to gently dissipate rather than abruptly vanishing. The principles of wa, kai, sei, yaku, harmony, respect, purity. You might even find yourself walking a little more mindfully, a little more gracefully as you return to the world outside. Of the chashitsu isn't merely confined to the tea ceremony itself. Oh no, my friend, the profound principles embedded in Chado harmony wa, respect kai, purity sei, and tranquility yaku, are not just abstract concepts. They are actively encouraged to permeate every aspect of daily Japanese life. Like taking the perfect posture you learned from playing the cello and applying it to how you sit at your desk or walk down the street. It subtly shapes everything. Think about the mindful movements of the host, every gesture deliberate. This attention to detail, this unhurried grace, finds its echo in countless facets of Japanese culture. In the careful packaging of a gift, where the wrapping is as important as the present itself. You observe it in the quiet efficiency of a Japanese train station, where people move with a shared understanding of space and flow. It's evident in the art of ikebana flower arrangement or bonsai miniature tree cultivation, where nature is artfully controlled and presented with minimalist beauty, just like the single flower in the tokonoma. The concept of ichigo ichi, one time, one meeting, extends far beyond the tea room. This philosophy encourages you to cherish every encounter, every moment, as if it were unique and unrepeatable. In daily life, this translates to being fully present in conversations, appreciating a meal with conscious gratitude, or simply noticing the subtle beauty of a sunset, looking for the next big thing. Imagine actually listening to your significant other instead of planning your grocery list in your head. Revolutionary, I know. Respect Kai is perhaps the most visible extension of tea ceremony etiquette into daily life. The bowing culture, while less formalized than in the tea room, is pervasive. Bows are exchanged upon meeting, departing, thanking, apologizing, and even to show deference to inanimate objects like a company's product. The meticulous care with which goods are handled by shopkeepers are all reflections of that ingrained respect. A mainstream historical fact is that the emphasis on collective harmony and respect over individual expression has been a cornerstone of Japanese societal structure for centuries, deeply influenced by Confucianism and Buddhism, with the tea ceremony providing a refined microenvironment for its cultivation. Purity, say, translates into a deep appreciation for cleanliness and order. From the pristine streets of even major cities to the ritualistic purification before entering shrines and temples echoing the sukubai, a profound sense of cleanliness permeates daily life. Homes are kept meticulously tidy, shoes are removed before entering, and even public spaces are maintained with an astonishing level of care. It's not just about hygiene, it's about a spiritual purity, a clear space for a clear mind. You might even find yourself inexplicably wanting to clean your entire house after this deep dive. And finally, tranquility yaku is sought in the appreciation of nature, in moments of quiet contemplation, and in the pursuit of hobbies that foster inner peace. Whether it's tending a small garden, practicing calligraphy, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of green tea at home, the desire for inner stillness, cultivated so meticulously in the tea room, finds its way into the rhythm of everyday existence. A quirky or fringe tidbit: some traditional Japanese inns still maintain rogi-like paths and small sukubai for guests to ritually cleanse themselves before entering their rooms, extending the tea ceremony's spiritual welcome to everyday hospitality. Historians still argue whether the widespread practice of removing shoes in Japanese homes was primarily for cleanliness, for warmth, or an ancient echo of sacred space separation. So, when you see the careful precision in a Japanese craft, the understated elegance of an ancient garden, or the profound politeness in daily interactions, know that you are witnessing the ripples of Chado, a testament to how an art form designed for a specific spiritual purpose can subtly, yet profoundly, shape an entire culture. It's a beautiful reminder that small, intentional actions can have vast, far-reaching impacts, given the profound history and intricate etiquette of the traditional Japanese tea ceremony. You might naturally wonder about its place in our bustling, modern world. Is it a relic, a dusty museum piece preserved only for purists, not at all. While the core principles remain timeless, the way of Teachodo has shown a remarkable adaptability, finding new expressions and drawing diverse audiences, proving that tranquility and mindfulness are always in vogue, even if your phone thinks otherwise. Modern interpretations of the tea ceremony often blend tradition with accessibility. You'll find tea houses in bustling city centers, offering abbreviated or less formal ceremonies designed for busy urbanites or curious tourists. These might involve simpler forms of teme, or focus on the usucha thin tea without the more intense koicha thick tea segment. They provide a vital entry point for those new to Chado, allowing them to experience its essence without feeling overwhelmed by centuries of strict protocol. It's like listening to a pop cover of a classical piece. It might not be the original, but it still introduces you to the melody, the global fascination with wellness, mindfulness, and slow living has also given Chado a renewed relevance. People are actively seeking antidotes to the constant digital noise and fast pace of modern life. The tea ceremony, with its emphasis on presence, sensory awareness, and quiet contemplation, offers a powerful, tangible practice for cultivating these qualities. It's an analog escape in a digital world, a deliberate pause that refreshes the soul more than any social media scroll ever could. A mainstream historical fact is that the global appreciation for Japanese arts, like Chado, significantly increased after Japan opened up to the West during the Meiji Restoration 1868 onwards, leading to the spread of tea ceremony schools and practitioners across continents. Many contemporary tea practitioners and schools actively encourage a more personal approach to Chado. While respecting the foundational etiquette, they might emphasize the inner journey over strict adherence to every single nuance. This allows individuals to find their own meaning within the practice, adapting it to their personal lifestyles. Some even conduct tea gatherings outdoors, in unconventional spaces, or incorporate elements from other cultures, creating unique fusion experiences that still honor the spirit of Chado. Imagine a tea ceremony held on a rooftop garden in Tokyo, overlooking the neon sprawla, beautiful juxtaposition of old and new, a quirky or fringe tidbit. Some contemporary tea artists have experimented with serving matcha in non-traditional vessels, such as clear glass bowls, to allow guests to fully appreciate the visual beauty of the whisking process and the vibrant green color of the tea. A departure from the opaque ceramic chowan. Historians still argue whether such innovations enhance or dilute the traditional aesthetic principles of CHADO. Technology, ironically, also plays a role in its preservation and spread. Online tutorials, virtual tea gatherings, and social media platforms dedicated to Chado allow enthusiasts worldwide to connect, learn, and share their experiences. While nothing can truly replace the in-person immersion, these digital tools make the knowledge and practice of Chado more accessible than ever before. You can literally watch a master perform teme on YouTube, pausing and replaying to catch every subtle movement. Despite these modern adaptations, the core message of the tea ceremony remains unchanged, finding beauty in the ordinary, fostering harmony, showing respect, cultivating purity of heart and mind, and embracing tranquility. These aren't just rules, For a ritual, they are principles for a well-lived life. Whether performed in a rustic tea house in Kyoto or a minimalist apartment in New York, the essence of Chado endures, offering a timeless path to mindfulness and connection in an ever-changing world. It proves that some traditions, like a perfectly brewed cup of matcha, just get better with age. As our journey through the serene world of Japanese tea ceremony etiquette draws to a close, you might find yourself reflecting on the profound impact such a seemingly simple act can have. It began with a humble path and ends with a lingering sense of peace, a testament to the enduring spirit of Chado. The transformation isn't always overt. It's subtle, a quiet reordering of your inner landscape, much like how a gentle rain reshapes the earth over time. The enduring spirit of the tea ceremony lies not just in its precise movements or its beautiful objects, but in its ability to foster a deeper connection to oneself, to others, and to the present moment. You've experienced the meticulous preparation of the tea, the silent language of bows, the nuanced appreciation of a ceramic bowl, and the delicate balance of bitter and sweet. Each element, though small, contributes to a holistic experience. Designed to cultivate awareness and inner calm, it's a full-body, full-mind meditation, disguised as a polite gathering. This personal transformation is often subtle. You might find yourself more observant of small details in your own life, noticing the texture of your morning coffee cup, the play of light through a window, or the rhythm of your own breathing. The forced humility of the Nijiraguchi might linger, reminding you that shedding pride can open doors to new understanding. The patient, unhurried pace of the ceremony might inspire you to slow down, to savor, to simply be more often. A mainstream historical fact is that many prominent historical figures, from samurai warlords to influential merchants, practiced Chado not just as an aesthetic pursuit, but as a rigorous form of self-cultivation. Believing it instilled discipline, composure, and moral character. The tea ceremony offers a profound lesson in imperfection. The chowan is not perfectly symmetrical. The roji is not perfectly straight. And even the foam on your yusucha has its subtle variations. Yet, it is precisely in these imperfections that true beauty resides, embracing the wabi-sabi philosophy. This acceptance can be deeply liberating, encouraging you to find beauty in your own flaws and in the imperfections of the world around you. It's like finally accepting that your hair will never look exactly like the models on the shampoo bottle, and finding peace in that reality. A quirky or fringe tidbit is that in some very advanced tea ceremonies, particularly during the coldest months, the host might briefly show the guests the charcoal that has been used to heat the water, specifically drawing attention to the ash that has formed. This appreciation of the ash haibai is a profound act, celebrating the transient beauty of fire and the cycle of transformation, a reminder that even remnants hold aesthetic value. Historians still argue whether this specific appreciation of ash was an extension of Zen aesthetics or had a more practical origin in demonstrating the quality of the charcoal. Ultimately, the personal transformation offered by Chado is a journey towards greater mindfulness and appreciation. It's about understanding that peace isn't something you find outside yourself. It's cultivated within. Each bowl of tea, each shared moment, is an opportunity to practice presence, to extend respect, and to find tranquility amidst the noise of existence. It reminds you that true richness isn't about accumulation, but about quiet appreciation. So, as the sounds of the tea house fade and you slowly drift back into your own thoughts, carry with you the gentle wisdom of the way of tea. Let its serenity be a quiet hum in your mind, a soft reminder that even in the busiest of days, there is always space for harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Allow the warmth of the grace of the gestures, and the quiet reverence of the moment to ease you into a peaceful slumber.